Good morning to all the students of class 12th political science once again here. Students, as you know, we were doing the fourth chapter of our book Contemporary World Politics, and of this particular chapter, Alternative Centers of Power, we had finished two parts, and in those two parts I had already discussed in detail the formation and the situation of European Union in the current scenario in the world politics, which was giving a tough fight, or we can say it was becoming one of the alternative centers of power against US. As in the starting, it had been started as an economic community to support European countries, but later on, slowly and gradually, it became more and more powerful, and in the world arena, it was standing against US. So people got one of the alternative centers of power. In the same way, in this particular part, third, we are going to study about another alternative center, which was like European Union here. So here today we are going to do a topic, Association of Southeast Asian Nation. We can say ASEAN. Popularly it is called ASEAN. But before I start this topic, I would like to show you the location. As I told you in the previous chapters also, please go through the maps. Maps is very important for you to understand the topic. We must know that we are studying a particular topic. We must know the location of that particular country. So here I am just showing you with the help of my other mobile. We are going to study about this particular area, which is shaded with dark blue color. This we can call as Southeast Asia. As India is in the South Asia, this is not be coming under this particular region, but these dark blue colors is the area we will be studying under Association of Southeast Asian Nation, which is popularly known as, here I told you, ASEAN. So in this chapter, for this group of countries, I will be using a word ASEAN, and I'm just trying to show you some more maps regarding this. This is the circled red part. I have circled it. You can see the countries within this area is a group of countries. We are calling them Southeast Asian nations. India comes in South Asia. This is proper South. This is Southeast here. This is the logo and the flag, we can say, of Asian nations, Southeast Asia. In the globe format also, we can say this is India, and in front of this is South and this is East. So Southeast Asian nations. So we are going to study about them. So I'm just trying to, first of all, I will just tell you the history, why they made a association like this, which was called ASEAN. So here, starting with the history of this particular region of ASEAN, I'm reading it here, please see it carefully. Before and during the Second World War, Southeast region of Asia suffered economic and political consequences of repeated colonialism. So it means during the Second World War, in fact, India was also under a colony, British colony. Along with India, in the Southeast Asian region, all these countries were also a colony. Okay, so they were facing a lot of economic and political consequences, or the problems related to economy and political situations were imbalanced there. There was not a proper balance between economy and political situations, as they were under some colony, or they were not sovereign. So they were facing a lot of economic and political problems. As well as at the end of war, it confronted them. As soon as they got the independence from the colonial rule, as India also got the freedom in 1947, in the same way, some or the other time, in the same period of time, these countries of Southeast Asia also got the freedom from the colonial rule. But the first problem, as we know, in front of India was also that nation building. How we are going to make up our economy, how we are going to control people, how we are going to look after our diversity, our political system, our society, our culture. In the same way, the first problem which was coming up to these countries of Southeast Asia was nation building, how they are going to start up. So and there were a lot of problems between these countries also, internal problems related to their boundary issues, river water issues. So after independence, they started fighting with each other. So they wanted to be strong, and like European Union, they also thought of making a union or a group which could support each other for their economic and security issues for the beginning. So they thought of giving, this situation gave birth to ASEAN. after independence, they wanted a nation building. They wanted to start it as a strong group, and as an independent small countries, they could have not been as successful as they are today. So they formed a group which was called ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nation. I showed you the map. So after the independence, all the group of these countries tried and formed a group for their uniform cooperation and interaction, so that there will be a cooperation and interaction between these group of countries, because independently they could have not been able to be as successful and as comfortable and strong economically, politically and socially as they are today. So they formed a association, Southeast Asian of nation, and their purpose was cooperation and interaction. So this is a history, I can say, of this Association of Southeast Asian Nations. And now I'm going to tell you some details and characteristics of this particular organization. So this ASEAN was established in 8th August, remember that, 8th August 1967. Please remember the dates properly. I have underlined it. By 5 countries. So this was not established by all the countries of Southeast Asia at once. In the beginning, in 1967, it was signed by only 5 countries of this particular region, and these countries were Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore and Thailand. Please remember these 5 names. These were the 5 founding members of this particular organization, whose name is ASEAN, of this region. And the signing, they signed this particular Bangkok Declaration, means they signed an agreement where all these 5 countries decided to cooperate in terms of their economy, security, society and all the political system. So this was signed by 5 countries in the Bangkok Declaration. You need to remember the date here and name of these 5 countries, and this was the Bangkok Declaration. Okay, this was the formation of this particular organization. Now moving forward, later on, which were the countries which added up, which collaborated with these particular 5 countries. They also wanted to join this particular group. Later 5 countries included were Brunei Darussalam. Brunei Darussalam is a single place. Vietnam, Laos PDR, Myanmar. Previously it was called Burma, but now its name is Myanmar. And finally Cambodia. Made its strength to 10. Later on, 5 more countries added to these 5 countries. It means the total number of strength of the members of ASEAN went up to 10 countries. So these countries, 10 countries, represented this particular organization, whose name is ASEAN. And this is a flag I have made roughly here. I have already shown you the original flag of ASEAN flag, and this was like 10 sticks bind together. This shows their unity. They are tied together. This shows their security and cooperation which they have to show to each other. This is the confidence they have to show to each other. They are bind together, they are connected together, they are associated together to form a group in which they will be supporting each other in every field, economically, politically, socially, in every field. So this is a flag and it represents their strength and unity. But although we can say there was a lot of diversity in this particular region, in the region of Southeast Asia, different countries, they have different culture, they have different languages, different methodologies of their government, but they knew the importance of making this particular organization. So we'll studying that further in this chapter. And one important point is, by 2003, in 1967 it was formed in 1967, and later on in 2003, ASEAN had several agreements in place. Among these 10 members, they had already various agreements in place with all the member states. They promised to each other to uphold, that they follow and uphold and support each other in terms of they will maintain peace, all these 10 countries. They will not do such activities that there will be some curious situation where there will be problem between these countries. Neutrality means, if out of 10, 2 neighbor countries are like in conflict with due to boundary issues or territory issues or water issues, river water issues, so no countries will support the other countries. In fact, they will be neutral and they will find the solution of these 2 countries combinedly. They will cooperate each other in any situation. Non-interference matlab, I said just now, there is lot of diversity in these 10 countries. They have different culture, different languages, different geographical condition, different climate, different agriculture activities, productivity activities, different governments, different government structure, but in fact they will not interfere in each other's internal matters. As an association, yes, they are together, yes, they will be supporting each other, but in the internal matters no one will interfere. That is why it is written non-interference in personal matters of a country. And in continuing with it, and respect for national difference. National difference, I told you about the diversity. If you talk of geographical areas or their political system, their economic system, their society, culture, okay, and sovereign rights. So there will be a lot of national differences, but apart from them, they have to work together, they have to cooperate together, they have to be a strong group to face all the economic, political and social conditions together. But they will keep and maintain the difference of national difference. They will not interfere in the internal matters of these countries, member countries, 10 member countries. Okay, now I will be starting the objectives. What were the objectives? Why they came together and why they wanted to form a particular group, and if they had already formed a group to be strong in terms of economy, they wanted to start up nation building after independence. They came as a group, as they saw the example of European Union. When they were together, they were able to be more effective altogether in terms of security, economically, politically, socially. So their objectives were also like primarily first objective of this ASEAN group was to accelerate, to improve the economic growth. Anyhow, they have to improve the economic growth if they have to be strong after their independence. And for this economic growth, the most important thing was they had to focus and rely on social progress and cultural development. This was not the case with these Asian groups, that they will look after the economic growth. For that they will sacrifice all the social progress. They will not give importance to their culture. In fact, they gave most of the importance to their social progress, the norms, values of the people, the culture and the traditions, methodology of their religions, their language and their faiths. And along with these two, they looked after their economic growth. So this is a difference we can see in the other groups like European Union or we can say US, and this particularly this alternative center, primarily to accelerate economic growth. Yes, the first focus was economic growth, but through social progress and cultural development. Secondly, the most important was to promote regional peace. They came together to bring peace and stability to this particular region. They wanted that there should be peace, there should be no conflict between these state members and with outside power. They wanted to maintain peace, but for that they followed the rule of law and principles of United Nations. They didn't wanted to make their own laws or own values, as they knew that the importance of United Nations was at large at that particular time. So they followed all the rules and regulations of United Nations Charter to maintain and develop peace and stability of their organization. So the third point is of these objectives, primarily and secondly, first and second I have already told, these two were the most important. And the third was territorial disputes should not escalate into armed confrontation. Means, as we know, after independence they were having a lot of issues regarding to their territories and boundaries and water bodies and river water, which were their internal problems of these countries. But as an association, their major objective was that these disputes should be solved out peacefully. There should be a solution should be made out. They should sit and with conversations they should take out some solution for this problem related to territories. But this should not increase or escalate into a armed. There should not be a use of military power or weapons against each other, because as to be a strong particular group or organization, we should have a unity amongst ourselves. When we will be strong among ourselves, we can fight with the outside world. But if there will be problem with our internal problems, then we won't be able to give our best to the outside power. So there was this particular point put up for the territorial disputes to be solved peacefully and not to escalate into armed confrontation. And the last point of these objectives, or important objective, is to create free trade areas. This association decided that they will create or put in forward a free trade area. This free trade area means anyone would be able and allowed to start a trade, industry or business in their territories for investment, labor and service. When there will be a trade or a business or industry coming up, there will be a lot of investment, there will be a lot of employment for the people as they will get labor, and there will be coming up lot of services for the benefit of people. So to grow their economy, first of all they started a system of free trade area. In this, under this we saw, as US and China saw the opportunity for the economic growth of theirs, along with have already signed. So they signed a FTA with ASEAN. They signed a FTA agreement with Asian nation. US and China signed a agreement with ASEAN for free trade area. When these two good economy will be coming into this area, which has just got the freedom and fighting for the economic growth, in fact, the people will be getting a lot of employment, people will be getting services, and there will be a lot of investment. In the same way, after US and China, India has also signed a FTA with these Southeast Asian nation with only two places, Singapore and Thailand. India has signed this FTA with only Singapore and Thailand, where India has invested its different industrialization of this private sector for their economic growth. But along with that, it also, India in future is also looking to sign this FTA with whole of ASEAN. Whole of ASEAN means with all the 10 countries of ASEAN, India want to sign this free trade areas. So the next topic, important topic, is ASEAN Way. As you must be thinking, Association of Southeast Asian Nation Way. So what is ASEAN Way? It means the methodology. What was the method for running an organization? Why it was different from European Union? What was the difference in its organization as compared to US and European Union? So this we call as ASEAN Way. It is a form of interaction. This ASEAN Way, the countries, 10 countries, the form in which they interacted with each other was informal, in a friendly way. The things they discussed, the planning they did, the policy and plans they put up were very informal. In a very friendly way, they met and they decided the various things for the betterment of their organization and for the betterment of their region. So, and next was non-confrontalist. Non-confrontalist means they did not have any arguments regarding any of the topics. They found the solution with the peaceful methods and cooperative to promote supranational structure in the association. Of this supranational structure means there will be equality among these 10 countries. No country will be influencing or dominating over the other. As we can say, USSR as a second important pillar of after Second World War. In that, Russia always dominated the other members of USSR. But in this ASEAN, they thought of that there will be no such supernation which will dominate this ASEAN. So they were all equal, they are all equally treated, they had been given importance equally. So we can say that these were the method of ASEAN which they had been looking into, that their organization worked properly and became more effective and more powerful with passage of time. So slowly and gradually they majorly focused on interaction that was informal, non-confrontalist, and they were cooperative with either all the 10 members, and they promoted supranational structure, that is there should be no dominance of one member or the founding member in this association of ASEAN. So till now we have discussed the history of ASEAN organization, how it was formed and what were its objective and what was the ASEAN Way. Now moving forward with this particular topic of ASEAN as an alternative center of power, as EU was, and the same way ASEAN was also an alternative center of power, or we can say a competition to US hegemony. In 2003, the Asian community established the following three pillars. So moving forward, after 1967, the formation of this particular organization, in 2003, they formed a community, and these were three pillars. Three means there were three particular communities which were working and progressing in different fields or different arenas. So the first pillar was the Asian Security Community. So the purpose and the aim and objective of this particular community was different in compared to the other pillars. So what was the purpose of this pillar? Security. This was the main one. The points under this are: solve territorial disputes and do not escalate into armed confrontation. In the past points I have already told you that they had a strategy and they had the coordination with each other, that they will not fight over territorial disputes. they will not escalate this dispute or arguments into a armed confrontation, means into a real war, use of arms, ammunition against each other, as the differences and the territorial disputes between these 10 member states, they will solve the problems related to territory through dialogues or negotiations. Dialogues by talking, conversations, and negotiation, solving or managing to find an agreement to find the solution of related to territory. They also promoted regional peace, and the security community also looked after that there was a regional peace, means the peace was maintained among these 10 member states to work properly as a group. And the second was here, by 2003 ASEAN had served several agreements, as this also I have already discussed, but again I had to write this under security community because this was a main objective of this particular security. I have already explained you this. In 2003 only, ASEAN had several agreements in place by which member state promised. In this particular agreements, all the members had promised each other that they will uphold or they will promote peace, neutrality, I have explained you the meaning of these terms, cooperation, non-interference in each other's matter. They will respect each other's national difference because they had a lot of diversity amongst each other in terms of geography, in terms of language, custom and culture, society, political system, government. So they will respect each other's national system and they will work as a strong group to promote peace and security for all the 10 members, and sovereign rights, that they are free from the higher other superpower. Now moving forward to the other pillar, the first pillar was the Asian security community, second pillar was Asian economic. Now this community looked after the economic development or economic growth of all the 10 members all together with unity. Common market, under this they had a strategy of forming a common market. In any of these 10 members, they had a market where all the other countries brought their goods and products and they sold them and got a good price for their production. Countries had produced goods, and the production which was produced in our country, because all the countries were different in terms of geographically and climatically, so they had different agricultural productions, so they had to share amongst each other in a common market to get the good outcome of the response of this common market. Next was ASEAN. As if we see ASEAN, this group of 10 members of Southeast Asian nation, they had a small economy. If we compare it with US, EU or Japan, they had a very small economy. But if we see the in terms of growing or the growth, it was growing in the faster rate. That's why it had a smaller economy than US, EU or Japan, but was growing at a faster rate. If we check the rate with which US, EU and Japan was increasing their economy, much faster than that was the economy increase of ASEAN. Although it was a small economy, but the growth was faster than the most superpowers at that time, US, EU and Japan. Next is ASEAN created FTA. Also I have already told you, this organization has created a FTA, means free trade area, where all the countries and all the members could invest money, they increase labor or employment and services for the betterment of the society or all the groups of the country. And the last and the important was Asia social. This was the third pillar, as I was talking to you, and I told you in 2003 they had established 3 pillars. First pillar was the Asian security community, second was the Asian economic community, and the third was Asian social cultural community. As I told you, they wanted their economic growth but along with their social and cultural development, so they focused on this. So they made a community to promote their culture and society norms and values in the world arena. The main motive of ASEAN was to increase social progress. ASEAN wanted to increase their social progress, to look after their norms, values, culture, and culture development. Here their traditions, their dress, languages, their festivals, they focused on these things. They knew this was the base of their country, and along with this strong base they can promote economic development. So this was also one of the important pillar of ASEAN. And the last topic for this particular, as we were studying about the organization, or we can say alternative center of power, ASEAN, the South Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Location I have already shown you in the map in the beginning. So they had Asian Vision 2020. It means they had an objective or the aim till 2020. What will be their position in the world arena? So they wanted that by the time of 2020, their situation should be like an outward looking role in international community. Now they wanted to be strong. By 2020 they wanted that apart from their internal matters, internal economic development, cultural, social development, their military, they should also be taking part in the world arena, in the international political system. As we saw US hegemony, then there was a challenge from European Union, which started as an economical community, but slowly and gradually it gained a lot of power in all the spheres. If we talk of military, if we talk of economical system, or if we talk of their political system. So in the same way, ASEAN has also wanted its role in international community now till by 2020 to encourage negotiations over conflict in this region. So here still they wanted to encourage there should not be any arms or any conflict which would lead to a war in their particular region. They always wanted to solve the problem with their negotiations, with talks, with discussions, and solving or finding out the solution to all the problems related to, I told you, territory or river water or any internal problems. They always found it to be better to be solved with the help of dialogues or finding negotiations. As we saw, US always did not want to negotiate. It always used its military power to take advantage of for their economically or political system. To control the end conflict, to end conflicts. Here by 2020, this Asian group wanted to end all the conflicts which were going on their regional among the 10 member states. So these were the conflicts which they have successfully solved with the negotiation and with the different dialogues. Cambodian conflict, East Timor crisis. These are the crises and we can say problems were going on within this particular group. They also decided to have an annual discussion on the East Asian cooperation through meetings. Annually they met to discuss the problems and cooperation through meetings in this particular region. So with this we come to the end of this particular topic, which was one of the alternative centers of power as against, you can say, US. The main motive of this particular region was not to be a superpower or to come against US or challenge the hegemony of US, but slowly and gradually it also became powerful in terms of economy, society, culture, or military power as well. So this is also one of the superpower, we can say, which could challenge the power of US along with European Union. Thank you. We are ending this topic here, and in the next part I will take the other topic.